You can be my wingman, Josh.
Bullsh. You can be mine.
I'm Joe.
I'm Josh.
You've got questions?
You're feeling grounded.
Welcome to Feeling Grounded with your hosts, Josh and Joe.
So what we want you all to do right now is subscribe to Feeling Grounded Podcast, like this video, share this video to any prospective person that might want to enjoy our content. Also, follow us on Instagram at Feeling Grounded Podcast. We have a bunch of content on there and funny stuff before each episode that I genuinely enjoy putting up those memes.
Yeah, definitely.
But also become a patron. Also, for $3 a month, you guys can see extra content that Josh and I genuinely enjoy, like to put on there. Also, we have included Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, and Amazon Music. You can find the link in our Instagram bio.
Leave some comments. Leave a question. If you have some questions for us, we can do question segments. So pause the video and put a comment, you dingus.
Entertainment. Where's the entertainment, guys?
A movie that recently came out that's now on Amazon Prime, Val, based on Val Kilmer's life.
Val Kilmer.
So Val Kilmer, highly accomplished actor, got his start in the 1980s, very prominent also in the 90s and the 2000s as well. I think the main reason that this film had came out because he was recently diagnosed with throat cancer in the mid-2010s. Mm-hmm. Had chemo, went successly. However, caveat, his voice was affected, and he has like a golden voice. Right. I loved his voice. He played in, he was Batman, Bruce Wayne, yep. Top Gun, he was Iceman, Prince of Egypt. I think he played Moses and God.
Yeah. He was the main guy.
Tombstone, Doc Holliday, and Jim Morrison, The Doors.
Jim Morrison,
he knocked it out of the park. Gosh,
what else? He was in The Saint. He was in The Willow. He was in there's the main, well, not the main guy, but the good guy in that. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So I really like this documentary kind of story of his life. So I guess we can just break down what it is. So like he had hours and hours of footage from his life that he, ever since getting
footage like audition tapes, behind the scenes from all these awesome movies and home movies too. When he was young too.
Yeah, exactly. And so he, I think upon having this awful thing happen to him of getting the throat cancer and losing his voice and all, he kind of wanted to make like this story of his life and kind of, when people are kind of face to face with their mortality, they often tend to be very, retrospective.
And that's the thing. It does. I was worried that this movie would seem kind of patronizing because you hear like some stuff like behind the scenes that he was difficult to work with. Yeah,
to be honest, that was always my impression of him. Mm-hmm. I've heard that time and time again that he's just kind of a jerk. Like he wasn't really nice in the background, or he'd be like awful on set, kind of like a diva type.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't want to say it like this, but I feel like he made this to kind of clear his name a little bit and to just kind of share his story, and like his side of everything, because I feel like oftentimes, when he was, I guess we don't need to dive too far into it, but yes, but I get it. I feel a lot better, and I feel more empathetic towards him and to his story after watching this, which probably was the intention. But you can't deny his chops. Like he's an amazing actor.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about like clearing his name. It didn't seem patronizing at all.
Not at all.
And for one example, one of the most infamous movies that is literal production hell. Was The Island of Dr. Moreau. He had his hero Marlon Brando in that film. You had, whose name escaped, you have Fairuza Balk, you had the guy who played Professor Lupin, but the guy went through like a divorce at that point in time, Val Kilmer.
It was crazy because while he was just there, he just got mailed the divorce papers without ever like being told about it. Like it just kind of happened.
And I'm sure that led to that supposed diva behavior.
After working at this like horrible, because they were at an island, right?
And Marlon Brando, to my knowledge, was no worse. But it seemed based on those behind the scenes footage of that film, which was so interesting. It seemed like he was pretty endearing.
Yeah, I would agree. because he wanted it to be good. He wanted to try and all this stuff, and then he kind of saw all the circumstances around him that pushed, and everything into the negative.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all kind of fell apart. And like, what are you going to do when you're at this location for a long period of time? You're locked into something because of a contract obligation,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just like no way out. Your life is falling apart. Your
Mhm.
wife is divorcing you. You're at the set that you don't like, and the director hates his job and doesn't like you.
Didn't have much
and
experience.
Didn't have a lot of experience and all this stuff, and then gets replaced, and there's all these production issues. Like, gosh, I don't even know how I would have responded.
Yeah.
But I understand that. But he did get a lot of flack for his actions, and he kind of was like diva-ish. But I mean, do you blame him? I mean,
No.
After all that was going on in his life at that current time, like, I would have just wanted to go home and I don't know, man.
Be with my kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he had 2 kids at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. But that's something that I really liked about this movie is his son. Was it Jack?
Narrated it, yeah, and they sound pretty similar.
He was the narrator, and it sounded just like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really endearing and nice. Because he had because Val Kilmer, due to like we already mentioned, his voice was kind of shot, and I forget what it's called, but you have to push cover a hole.
Yes.
Like not a tracheotomy. I forget what the name of it, but in order to speak, and it's very difficult for him to talk and to eat and to breathe and all this stuff. So you just feel for him, you become sympathetic and
he was served those divorce papers in like 95, 96, and he was still paying off those debts. Even in the 2010s, he sold off his father's land that he had to pay. A lot of that stuff were from his, which I thought was very tragic. His father was using, that was something that was kind of overlooked. But his father was a good spirit in his life, though.
Right.
Anyway,
a little shady in his business
practices.
practices.
But didn't really go too much into that, so I can't really say too much to that effect.
Right.
And then the economy crashed, obviously, in 2008. And something that was awesome that I never knew about is that Mark Twain role that he did.
I've never heard that he did that.
It really hit me.
Yeah, but it looked great. The scenes that we saw were awesome. This is awesome.
Yeah, and the comparisons that he felt so compelled to do that role because Twain lost his river, and Val Kilmer lost that land. Twain lost his daughter, and
he lost his brother.
He lost his
That's
brother
right.
too when he was
Forgot about
younger.
that, yeah.
And they both went on the road to pay their debts,
Mhm.
and then right as he was doing that, he lost his voice.
Yeah, he found out about the throat
Found out,
cancer.
yep.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. It really is. That whole story. You just feel for him because you see him, and it's like hard. You have an image of what someone looks like and someone is in your head, and then when you see them in reality and they're old or they're broken because of like a illness like this or whatever it is, and it's really jarring at times. Because I envision Val Kilmer in his prime, this handsome guy who's whatever, and then to see him kind of much older and just kind of broken and weak and all this stuff, and the
thing is, he still had a lot of charisma, and I did feel bad for him because he thought he was selling himself in his old self. To quote him, he thought he was selling his old self by doing
tours and doing autograph signings and all that stuff.
But he realized that he can't really help himself that way. He just people still love him, and clearly you have 2 new fans, Val Kilmer.
Yeah, exactly. Really, honestly.
Yeah.
So I feel for the guy, and then he opened up about his faith too towards the end, and talking about that he goes to church, and I think he's a Christian Scientist, which I hear they're a little weird, but I don't know too much about it.
Nor do I.
But it's great. He's kind of discovering himself and learning about desiring a higher power and to get his life squared away, and it's great, man. I was really impressed with this.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think it was going to be what it was after you suggested we watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a great story.
Can you put a number on it? 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5?
I would say 4.
I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yep.
4.5 out of 5. And yeah, so if you want to check it out, I would. It's on Amazon Prime, right?
Yep.
Prime Video, called Val, based on Val Kilmer and his story. Check it out.
The future is inevitable, but let's travel back in time.
So September 1st,
September 30th.
1939. That was the day that Germany invaded Poland, starting World War II.
The Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, exactly. When they went against all their agreements, went against all the appeasement practices from Chamberlain, all this stuff, and he invaded, went for it, began probably one of the worst wars.
I would have to say that the Civil War is actually a lot more tragic.
I think it's
because
bloodier, right?
because
More
when
people died.
it's a battle between brothers, just by general definition.
Oh,
But
yeah,
any
yeah.
war is awful. But just the fact that it's a war
Mm.
between brothers. So September 1st, 2012, the German company Grunenthal. I'm probably butchering, but it's a German company. I've got some German in myself, but clearly I'm butchering that pronunciation. They manufactured the drug thalidomide. Now, do you know anything about thalidomide?
I don't. Nope.
It's basically the drug in the 1950s that had the intention of curing morning sickness.
Mm.
So obviously for morning sickness, women who are pregnant.
Mhm. Which isn't always just morning sickness. Like
No.
for my wife, it was all day sickness.
Yes.
For 3 months.
Yeah, they just call it that to make it sound good.
Yeah, exactly.
But sickness is sickness. Thankfully, we guys don't have to.
I left my coffee over there.
Oh.
It's all right. Anyways.
So thalidomide in the 1950s, it had its short run for reasons that it was linked to birth defects in these children born.
Oh, gosh.
And so if you take a look, anybody who is looking at this podcast right now, pause this video and search up thalidomide babies, because it's going to pretty much scar you. It's horrific. And that's the thing. It's a drug that was not properly tested, because any type of drug, and we're still dealing with this even today, for non-specifics, for YouTube guidelines, wink, wink, things that are not properly tested, there is a reason that people would be skeptical of it, and this is one of the reasons.
Yeah, exactly. You just get a company that thinks that they have something that can help people without going forward with all the tests and making sure it's completely safe,
Mm-hmm.
and then desiring to make a buck off of it. Introduce this into the system, and then hey, what do you know? There's things that we didn't know or realize because we didn't test it well enough.
And you soon find out
destroying
not too
people's
long from then.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's like the story with OxyContin, right?
Yeah.
Like that story. Well, I forget the location. I want to see somewhere in Pennsylvania or maybe the Adirondacks or the Appalachian area. I could be wrong about that, but how that happened, was this pharmaceutical company that introduced OxyContin into a location and said, listen, like, it's not very addictive. Like, there's not a lot of problems with it. Like, it's just going to make your people feel amazing. Like they're living their best lives, and they weren't telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they, of course, OxyContin is like one of the most addictive, like horrible pain killers. And it killed so many people in that area and made people instantly addicted to them. And yeah, so like pharmaceutical companies can be pretty terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So you always have to be thoughtful of that.
Well, you got to understand that these people, there's some people who go into the industry with actually wanting to make some certain change, but as a collective, you got to be honest with yourself and say that these people don't honestly care about the people the individual.
Yeah,
They don't
exactly. About that person that they're actually trying to serve.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to peel their pockets.
It's time for Happy Crappy.
Looks a little different, huh? Doesn't it, Joe?
Pretty much. Yeah, this is my first time at this
You're here.
household.
We're in the same place.
It's not
crazy.
the Matrix.
Can you believe that? It's nuts. So yeah, so that we could hang out. You can see the new house, see the new place, catch out the studio. We can record one in person.
I've literally only been in this room.
Yeah, you crawled through the window and
And then they blindfolded me. And
yeah, I kidnapped him. How about that? Yeah, so we're using some of our my sound equipment, which is dope. I got tons of sound equipment because all the live stuff that we do, and it's good. It's good. We'll see. So hopefully it sounds good. I don't know.
it'll probably sound incredibly
I'm
distorted, so
seeing
I
things.
apologize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing things that look pretty decent, but
You never know until you're testing it.
yeah. So how you doing, Joe? Things are good.
I'm pretty good. Yeah, we didn't have our episode last time. It was basically because of that hurricane.
Right, that's right. Yes, the hurricane that kind of came through and kind of changed my plans, right? Because been talking about going to Ocean City for a while.
Mm.
And on that Saturday, we found out that, because I don't check the news, I don't check the weather, like, ever. So, yeah, we got, like, my wife and I got alarms on our phone and all this stuff, emergencies saying, like, hey, there's a storm coming. You're going to be underwater. Like, you're going to, like, imminent flooding. You're going to die.
Lost city of Atlantis.
Yeah, so then I ended up leaving Saturday evening instead of Sunday morning, which was the plans initially, and then I stayed with some relatives in Maryland. But it was good. It was good. It was a good trip. And you know what? the hurricane didn't even do anything.
Yeah, it knocked a chair over, and that's
Yeah,
pretty much it.
If that, it was maybe even like a little windy. Definitely was not 9-mile-per-hour winds here, at least, from what I hear. A lot of rain, but no flooding or anything. Yeah, I know. Literally, it was like storm surge. You're gonna go underwater, and then like there's nothing. That's the thing about the news, is it can be very sensational.
Very fear-mongering.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's what sells. Happy or crappy?
Let's do crappy first.
Okay. So my crappy, a couple days ago, I had sliced my finger. It's almost fully healed right now. It's not hurting no more. While cutting Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the Lord telling me that I shouldn't be eating that no more. But I love Brussels sprouts, especially.
But you know what they say about Brussels sprouts? That they smell like flatulence. Is that what they say? Do they say that? I might have just made that up. I think they smell like farts.
But you like them.
I do.
We're all just naturally attracted to farts, I guess.
I guess so. Good stuff. Yeah, I crapped my hand once. I cut my hand once while cooking. And you were there.
Yeah, mine was tell me that story. I forget.
Yeah, so I was cooking potatoes, and I was cutting potatoes on a cutting board with this giant knife, and I was just being like, and I wasn't looking, and sliced right into my thumb. Yeah, right here, I remember. And it bled a lot. I was like,
what was I doing at that point in time?
You were probably relaxing after a long day of student teaching, because you're a hard worker, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, that year was
and I have
bummer.
never insulted you in a previous recording of this by saying you're lazy.
I wasn't lazy that day.
No, I know, because this is our second take, because we had camera problems, so I said that the first time. Anyways.
Yeah, this was bleeding for a good 2.5, 3 hours. I even put like a glove on me while I was sleeping just in case like it kept bleeding, and then like got all over my comfort just in case it didn't. But I was worried that it would.
Crazy. How about that?
Even though I had a Band-Aid on, whatever.
Right. Anyways.
Crappy.
I just didn't feel good past couple weeks. I haven't been eating that well, and so because of that, been having some literal crappies, if you know what I'm saying.
No, I don't. Why'd you
I don't think I need to. So I'm not gonna. Happies.
Ooh, well, not too long ago, before the last time we met, I had met up with a good old buddy of mine, Jeff, from grade school, and we had reminisced. He had moved back to our hometown, just reminiscing, talking about his family and just getting acquainted again, which was literally a breath of fresh air. It was awesome. And then, as a second happy, I went to worship at an after party at church, which was like a breath of fresh air in a different sense, because just having that community right near like where I was at, meeting more people has been great before the start of the fall. You get
the new year. Definitely, I feel that. No, it's great. It's great to have that community and to grow within that. It's awesome. Yeah, so my happy, as I kind of already mentioned, is going to Ocean City, doing a 3-day vacation. It'll end up being like kind of like 4 because of the leaving early. But stayed in a hotel resort kind of thing, right on the beach. It's an oceanfront thing on Ocean City, and I love Ocean City, Joe. It's a really great place to vacation, because it's just this really tight-knit kind of area where like you have 2 one-ways, right? So one going northbound, one going southbound, and then you have one side and it's all resort stuff. It's all hotels, condos, apartments, all this. And the other side is all restaurants, it's stores, fun recreational places, mini golf, bowling, all that. And it's all within walking distance. So it was just great. Like I just parked there, and then Claire and I just walked all over the place, and we ate at a bunch of really great restaurants and did all these really, had these great sites. We played tennis, we did bowling and all this at the beach, and it was all really fun. So I would recommend that to anybody.
And it was only you and Claire, right?
Yeah, it was just the 2 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, which was nice. A little anniversary getaway. Our anniversary was on this past Thursday.
You guys have been married for 4 years now.
Yeah, 4 years. Crazy. It's been great.
And together 7 or 8?
Yeah, 7 or 8. I think that sounds right. One of those ones. Yeah, my sophomore year we started dating, which was 2014, 2015. Because it might have been like the second half. So I think like 2000. Oh no, it was right in the beginning. So 2014. Yeah, so 7 years. How about that? Crazy.
I remember seeing you guys together right after your first date.
Nice. Yeah. In passing, right? I think we like walked by each other or something.
Yeah. Hey, how'd it go? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. What'd you guys do for your first date?
Well, we had a whole weekend where we did stuff, which was fun. So I asked her out on like homecoming Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And then Saturday we did a concert. And it was like a Disney meets Beatles. And I didn't even know she liked Beatles at the time. And so it was like perfect. It was this violinist. It was the Scranton Philharmonic or Wilkes-Barre something, or northeastern Pennsylvania Philharmonic. And yeah, we just went there and
big trip.
Yeah, it was great. She loved it. And it was awesome. Then we had dinner, and then Sunday we went swing dancing. Because that was the thing in college.
Swing dancing was a big thing for us in college.
Yeah, it was. That's a weird thing to think about. But yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah.
We gotta go swing dancing again.
How about that?
Because the older we get, the lamer we get.
Exactly.
So what we want you all to do right now is subscribe to Feeling Grounded Podcast, like this video, share this video to any prospective person that might want to enjoy our content. Also, follow us on Instagram at Feeling Grounded Podcast. We have a bunch of content on there and funny stuff before each episode that I genuinely enjoy putting up those memes.
Yeah, definitely.
But also become a patron. Also, for $3 a month, you guys can see extra content that Josh and I genuinely enjoy, like to put on there. Also, we have included Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, and Amazon Music. You can find the link in our Instagram bio.
Leave some comments. We have a question. If you have questions for us, we can do question segments. So pause the video and put a comment, you dingus. Or if you're listening to it on Spotify, go to YouTube and leave a comment, or Instagram.
But you've got questions?
You're feeling grounded.